Peace, y'all. It's your girl, the real Tony Hickman, and I'm gonna keep this video short and brief because when I tend to go a long time, it's just cutting off on me. I don't even understand it. So, long story short, when I was in the hospital, I had to get all my hair shaved off because I had two brain aneurysms and a stroke. The doctors told my mom that I would never walk or speak again. I did come out partially paralyzed, right? And so all my hair had to be shaved off and my eyes were black. And when I would look in the mirror, it was just like, you know, I didn't like what I saw. So when I finally got out the hospital, I was on a walking cane, totally different from this 6 foot Amazon who wore a long weave and like, you know, I was just a different package, okay? And not to say that I was all about like, what was on the outer surface, but I didn't know how much the outer surface made me feel confident. But I got home because I finally went and got some braids in my hair because I felt ugly. That was the concept of what beauty I thought beauty was. So I felt ugly, right? So I went and got these braids in my head, and they gave me that temporary satisfaction of like, still feeling that concept of beauty. But then when I would step out in the world and then, everybody's staring at me because I'm on a cane and my arm is spasmed out. And then when people stare, it makes anybody who has had a stroke nervous and they've had partial paralysis. They still probably experience the same energy, but it's like if you get cold, nervous, or angry, we tense up. It's like, we tense up, and yeah, this is where I still have partial paralysis. So anyway, I'm taking the braids out my head because it was time for them to come out. They starting to look ugly. And I'm taking the braids out and they had unraveled, and like all of a sudden it was time for that to go. So as I'm taking the braids out, I'm acknowledging because I had to cut them with one hand, right? Mom's, I don't even know where mom was because I was staying with her at the time. But I'm in her bathroom and I'm taking, these braids out with one hand, and I acknowledge that my weaker hand is not helping. And so I kiss my weaker hand and I'm taking these braids out, and I'm looking in the mirror and I just bust out crying because at that point I had realized my whole identity, my issues with my identity and everything. And I just started saying, I love you. And I'm taking the braids out my head and I'm like, I love you. I love you. And I'm screaming at the mirror and I'm crying. I'm to my tears just falling, and I realized at that moment, like, I have to do things that make me understand how much and how important it is to love me. So since then, I still, I exercise, I do meditation, but I don't do it often. I eat, like, most of the time raw vegan. But sometimes I have food that I shouldn't have. I don't eat cheese. I don't eat cheese. And I don't eat eggs, and I don't do dairy. So I'm vegan, and I'm mostly raw vegan, but just because you could be vegan does not mean you're healthy or you're eating healthy. But the guilt is a good thing because it keeps us in check to keep moving. So, but the ways I have chosen to love myself is by asking, what can I give? How can I serve and be of importance to somebody else? Like, that's how I choose to love myself. Another way I choose to love myself is setting standards for myself and for my diet and for my relationships. To each his own. I'm not knocking anybody and your journey first and foremost. But for me, my relationships, especially with men, because my boyfriend left me on the bed of the hospital in New Orleans after I had my surgery and stuff. So my relationships with men have been kind of like torturous as well. Yeah, hold up one second because I got to set something for my mom. I know that was her. Um, but yeah, so the confidence comes from like finding a mate, finding, making sure that no matter what, I understand that there is no need for me to settle in no area of my life, not in, what I can do or what I'm capable of, because I'm going to always push myself. And so my advice to any stroke survivor or anybody, even if you have issues with yourself because of a disability or, something major that has happened in your life, no matter what it is, because sometimes the thing that happened to us is a secret that we can never share. And that takes our confidence, But the thing is, no matter what, we have to be able to love ourselves. And if we love ourselves enough, anything is possible. And loving ourselves enough means listening to our God self and being obedient to that energy. Because we all have this system that is in us that tells us this guidance. It tells us like when we're about to go the wrong way, about to make a bad choice in life. It tells us all of these things. And we have to be obedient. And the more that we are obedient to that inner voice, that God self, that voice of reason and wisdom, that is the more we gravitate toward loving ourselves. And I'm a work in progress. But I know it's so many people. I get people in my inbox on social media or whatever that'll say, thank you for, helping or whatever. But I know, especially my stroke survivors, we go through so many confidence issues sometimes because we're looking at our fate. Like, what is our fate? What are we to do next? And how are people going to receive us? And, even some of us that have aphasia and we can't even communicate the way we want to. And all I can say is, no matter what your situation, I truly believe that when you love on yourself enough in the right frequency, then love will come. It will come regardless. And loving yourself will attract the love that complements what you need. But we have to love ourselves more. So how do you love yourself? Like, what is your reason for loving yourself? Because that is when everything will change. So I hope that this video has been helpful. I'm trying to stay under 10 minutes. But yeah, how do you love yourself? For me, it's my diet. It's, what I choose to accept because of what has happened to me. And I have trauma that I have to heal from. But I trust that as I am single, I work on me, and then the love that is meant to complement me will come, and that's it. So anyway, much love to y'all, and peace and all of that stuff, and being happy with yourself in the process of your healing is everything. So be happy with who you are, because you're beautiful in every stage of every part of you. You are beautiful. I love y'all. It's your girl, the real Tony Hickman. You want to support what I do, support by going to my website at tonyhickman.com. You can get my books, my CDs, or my music. And yeah, that's what it is. So on that note, love yourself and listen to your God self. Yeah. Peace.